Pizza time.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is July 5th, 2022, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am, of course, your host, as always, RJ, the Marvel Maniac. Although we are not talking about Marvel today, actually. We are talking about Stranger Things for Volume 2. The season's out. It's completed now. The final 2 episodes have been released as of this weekend. So we will be discussing them in their full spoiler glory. So real quick, we'll be saying hello. Well, that's me actually. I became a new member, although my profile picture didn't show up for some reason, which is weird. Malachi Trace became a new member. Thank you. Coffee Machine, hello. Yeah, this is not Max today. He's not hosting this. Max will be on later tonight hosting another episode of MME Live. So stay tuned for that. CJH is here. Hello. Yeah, no, that's perfectly okay. I would honestly recommend that if you've not watched Stranger Things, like all of it, especially the last couple episodes of season 4, volume 2. This is definitely not the place for you. This is definitely not the place for you. Don't come in here because we're gonna be talking about some spoilers. Lots of the spoilers. No, don't come in here if you don't know the show. You know, don't no. That would not be good. So. Pulling something up real quick. All right, sorry about that. So check something real quick. The View with Dave is here, as well as Caden. What's up, Backstabber Caden? Hello.
Hello, my fellow Backstabber.
Hello, what's up? Which action movie character do you like more? The Terminator, John McClane, or Neo, and how would you rank them? I think John McClane would probably be in the top of that, followed by Neo and then the Terminator. I think the Terminator works best as a villain, not a hero, personally.
What do you mean?
Well, I'm saying like the Terminator, like the Terminator. To me, I always like the Terminator as a villain, not like I like the Terminator.
Like he's like the protagonist that is a villain.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's just how if I'm working like which action movie character I like the best. I think it's John McClane because he's like the prototype, right? And then Neo,
Yeah.
and then the Terminator.
I mean, John McClane is. I think he's one of the better prototypes out there. Because he's goofy, but at the same time he's serious.
Right. Simon Blaze is here. Hello, saying this season was the best yet. I might have to agree with that. But first, Caden, everyone's been waiting to hear your thoughts. Actually, I've been waiting to hear your thoughts for a while. Actually, so why don't you tell the world what you thought the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things 4?
I liked it. I really liked them. Although I think I expressed this to you guys. I think I expressed this to Jarbo though. That there's one part that I felt was a bit rushed, but in the end, after listening to the Duff Brothers podcast talking about that scene, and how the repercussions of that scene lead into season 5, even after the time jump, is going to be cool to see that. But yeah, season 4, volume 2 is really cool. I liked it. That's my spoiler-free version.
Yeah, and I put the nice little banner down there so you guys know now it's time for spoilers. So again, if you don't want to know anything about Stranger Things 4, especially these last 2 episodes, and I would recommend clicking off now because we're going to get into it. So I guess we're going to kind of like try and structure this out. So episode 8 is called Papa, and we pick up pretty much right where episode 7 left off with the reveal that Henry Creel was number 1. He was Vecna, right?
Yeah.
So you pick up right where that, and like Nancy, right, being chased by Vecna. And Vecna doesn't want to kill Nancy. He wants to show, like, he's like, okay, you want to know who I am? I'm going to show you what my plan is. And then we find out that the whole reason he's been killing all these teenagers is because each kill opens a gate up. And the more gates that open, it'll cause a giant earthquake that will destroy Hawkins and create a giant interdimensional portal that allow the Upside Down to start taking over the regular dimension, our dimension.
Yeah.
Right. So that was kind of where we started things off. Before we then moved back into really, I mean, this was a very 11-centric episode, obviously.
Yeah. I mean,
and this is kind of our
Yeah.
goodbye to Matthew Modine's character, Brenner.
Yeah. Which I was saying this to you and Jarbo and everyone, and I was saying it publicly too, is that I thought that the end game for Papa and Dr. Brenner was going to be a fight between him and Hopper. Because
and I thought that would make sense too, but I think the way they handled it instead, I thought was actually better.
Right. But then when you watch that episode, you get a feeling like, oh, this is meant to happen. This was to have this, like, it's like you have this tumor in your brain and you need to do something to get that tumor out of the brain. And that's what 11 did to the death of Dr. Brenner. Papa took that tumor out.
Yeah, Streamer's been doing some weird stuff with that lately where icons are not popping up. That happened to me the other day. So,
but yeah, so I think it was needed for 11 to realize her full potential. Because again, like, as you can see, she was and him were in that Project Nina, near that Project Nina, and then she was like, I need to go, like, my friends need me, and Dr. Owens is gonna take me, or I'm just gonna go by myself. And then Papa's like, oh, well, Dr. Owens is doing something else. You can go, and then he closes the door, on her, and then she's like, what the heck? And he's like, no, we still have more stuff to do. And she's like, I thought I was able to go, and he's like, nope, we're
which I kind of figured that was gonna happen, because there's no way Brenner's not gonna like try and weasel his way out of keeping 11 around and under his control,
I mean,
but the interesting thing is, like, the lore drops too that we got in this episode, where like he explains the whole thing about the gate, but he also explains, like, we find out that the whole reason 11 was even opening the gates up again in the first place back in season 1 was because Brenner never stopped looking for Henry. He wanted to find Henry and where he went, right? So I mean, that was kind of really interesting too, or kind of like, it was like, again, tying things back to the beginning of the show, which they also did in the final episode too, which we'll get to in a second. So
like, the thing is, like, I think while Henry won, and Vecna, like, it's that scene that, like, when Robin's like, Henry, and they're like, no, Vecna or one, like, Henry.
They all couldn't decide on what to call him.
No. And so, but like, but yeah, so it's like, he has the true power, while, so he can only, let himself be free out of the Upside Down. But Dr. Brenner, I think one explained it to 11 very well, is that Papa lies. And he will get anything. He'll try to get what he wants by lying. And he did that. He tried. He tried to lie his way throughout the whole thing with 11. But the thing is that when she remembered her conversation with one, that she remembered, oh, yeah, Papa lies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that again was just kind of like the really interesting thing too, where it's just kind of like we see kind of where his mindset's been, right? So, and we kind of get more. I think episode 8 was also the episode where, like, the Steve, Robin, and Nancy team, they were kind of planning out, okay, we're gonna kill Vecna, but we need to, like, figure out. So they stock up on weapons, which I thought was hilarious, because, like, the entire town is just at that one gun store. Everybody's there from the high school, from the, like, everyone's buying guns. They have that
Yeah.
great scene where Nancy's kind of like interacts with Jason. You see how far Jason's just become so
Oh,
far
Jason.
gone.
No, Jason went so far off.
Oh, he became
the rails.
psychotic in his quest for
Yeah,
revenge.
no,
Like
the thing
he
is,
just
it's
went
like,
insane himself.
oh yeah, like the thing is, if this was like a normal show, like, and there was no like, or this was like, if they did resolve the whole thing, and Jason grew up, he would be like that guy who wanted to run for mayor of Hawkins, you know?
Or he would have been like a pastor, or he would have been
Yeah,
like the leader of the church. Oh, like he would have been
right.
the new pastor of
One
the
of the
church or
two, you
something. He
know.
would have been
He,
like
he would
a
try to be
community. He would have definitely been a
people,
community
or
leader.
yeah, he would try to be a leader in some aspect of the town. So yeah, I mean, it really shows you. I mean, and also that's the thing, like, about that was like such a insight into that time period, you know. Like, with people, there were people like Jason during the 80s, you know, during the 70s, during the 90s, you know.
Yeah.
So
Max, you're asking what character you think had the coolest story this season? I mean, there's so many.
I think
Honestly,
Eddie had the coolest story, even though like he died, but I think he when he died, it was like, okay, you know, if he did go with Dustin to back up, then he would be running away still. You know, he'll be running away, and you know, whatever. And he did not want to run away anymore. He realizes that he's been told he runs away, he's a coward. He needs to stand up, you know, and that's what it was like. I think Eddie and Nancy had the best stories this season.
Really, you're gonna throw Nancy in there? That's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Nancy too, because I think she was, you know, also becoming a leader. You know, she was the one becoming like.
Yeah,
stepping
I mean,
in.
personally, I feel
Yeah.
like the major highlights this season were 11, Eddie,
Oh
and
yeah,
Max.
and 11
Like
too.
Max especially. I think Max
Oh
was
yeah,
standing out
11,
this
Max,
season.
Nancy, and Eddie were like the top 4 stories.
Yeah,
but if top 5, and added 5th would probably be Steve.
Yeah. Well, we kind of just get back on track to episode 8, of course. You know, Sullivan and the military invade the compound that they're all hiding in.
Yeah.
Brenner tries to escape with 11, who he's kind of drugged and put the shock collar on to submit her. They try and escape, and it's like very reminiscent of like Star Wars, like the Empire breaking into the rebel ship, and like you have like that whole escape thing, and then Brenner walks outside to see all the dead scientists, like, oh shit, like there's no escape for him, and then you see the helicopter just like start sniping at him. I'm
right.
But the best scene though, of course, is 11 taking out that helicopter. That was amazing. Yeah. I love that. That was great. Really cool. And then you have the pizza van just coming in.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's a civvy. It's a civvy.
It's a civilian vehicle. Just ignore it. Take the shot.
Just ignore it, you know. Right. And then realizes, nope, you should ignore it.
Yeah, right. So how did you feel about kind of how 11's story kind of wrapped up with the death of Brenner? And another big question is, what the heck is going to happen to Owens now? Because it seems like Sullivan has him now in his custody.
Yeah.
So.
I think, well, is Owens still alive? That's the question.
Probably. I would imagine he is, because they're going to want some kind of expert after what happened in Hawkins, which we'll get to later.
Yeah, but like, yeah, Sullivan has Owens, dead or alive, whatever. But now 11's story with Papa is over. And like I said, Papa was that thing holding 11 back, and was the thing that was in her brain that was not letting her be her full potential. And even
Thank you, Ashley, I appreciate it.
Even though that Papa was going to try to further her, but it was going to be too late by the time he furthers her in her progression of her powers. Hawkins, maybe even half the world, maybe already half the United States would have been already taken over by the time that he was done. So It's like,
Well,
Wow.
I loved how Brenner went out though, because it was really fascinating to me, at least, because he's all like, he wants Eleven to understand,
Yeah.
and she denies him that resolution in his final moments. Like, he
Right.
dies without getting like the happy goodbye. It's like, nah, you're still a jerk. Like, I'm not gonna understand or forgive you. It was
No.
more like, it wasn't. I think that question he asked, like, "Do you understand?" was not just about, "Do you understand why I did what I did?" It was also a moment of, "Can you forgive me for what I've done to you?" And she's
Right.
like, "Nope,
No. I
bye."
can't.
Right?
Yeah.
He just dies. He dies seeing her go off
Yeah.
by
You
herself.
you can't. Like, the thing is, like, I don't think you can forgive Papa of what he's done.
No, you
You know.
can't. No.
Because as we see with Henry, he took in Henry when after the accident, and then you know took his blood or whatever he took from him and made all these children, and then made Henry watch all these children, and they weren't even given names; they were given numbers, so they weren't. So to Henry, Papa was mistreating these children, you know,
Mm.
and then not only that is that, as we see in the flashbacks of when Eleven remembers the conversation that she had with Henry, is that and all the times that she was around Henry and all the times that she was around the other kids, that um, that both Papa lies and is the very bad person, but also Henry is also a bad person, but
Right. Two wrongs don't make a right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so she's like, no, like, I'm not going to side with you, Vecna or Henry, or I'm also not going to help you, Papa. I need help my friends and myself in the world, and I help you too. That's basically her story in this season, and that was really cool.
Yeah, and like I said, Brenner passing away, I think, was a great way to end that episode on, of course. And then we have like them going into the Creel house, which I mentioned on Jarbo stream, giving me like massive It vibes at the first movie where they go inside that creepy house. I'm like, all right, it's gonna be like them fighting Pennywise, kind of, But I didn't mind that, I didn't mind that homage. But we get into the last episode, the piggyback. Oh yeah, go ahead.
It also felt like that one movie with I think it's the haunted house or like the living house.
Oh, like the
animated movie with
Monster House.
Monster House. Yeah, that's what kind of felt like. Reminded me of the Creel house. Is Monster House.
A little bit. Yeah, it kind of did. Yes, yeah, totally. I could totally see that. And then we get into the last episode, the piggyback, which of course they set their plan in motion, and that like it's a good plan, right? Like it makes a lot of sense, but then it's like you can't, like, Vecna's a supernatural creature at this point.
Well,
you
not
can't
only
outsmart
that,
him.
you also have Jason and his crew.
Yeah, Jason messed it up too. Like they like that one guy tackled Erica, and I'm like, oh crap! Like, damn, they're really trying to hurt this girl.
I'm like, you're really gonna tackle this little girl, but then like Jason, like when he and Lucas, like when he walked in on Lucas and Max, he didn't even like want to understand what the heck's going on. He's moved on past of what's going on. He's just now, how can I, Jason, become the hero of the day? And that was the way to, try to save Max, but Max was, by the time Jason and Lucas were fighting, and then the big moment of that fight was when Jason stepped on the
cassette tape, and there's like, god damn it, like there's no.
To me, that was the big moment of the fight. And then when Lucas screamed no, that was like, and I was like, oh snap! Like,
Yeah, and
there's no
that's
saving
kind of
that
like where
kid.
it's like, okay,
Like
we can't
Max is,
fix this normally. Well,
yeah,
I love
Max
the
long gone.
notion too, which they kind of played into, is that they could like no one person could solve the problem. It
Yeah,
took everybody working together, even across like thousands of miles, to make this happen, right?
yeah,
Kind of like setting that theme in motion that they're stronger together than they are apart, right? They need everybody working together to solve this problem, kind of deal.
yeah. Yeah, and it was just like, and that fight, like Jason was beating the crap out of Lucas.
Oh
And I was,
no, it was like a slugfest, man. Like they were
yeah,
they were beating the crap out of each other. Well, it was like really tense too because they established earlier that Jason had become a good shot with that Magnum, right? So
yeah,
it's just like you're watching him like stick up this kid at gunpoint. It's like, oh shit, like things just got real,
right,
because he's so unhinged. I really thought he could have shot Lucas, even if it was just in the arm or something. I'm
oh
like, he's gonna shoot him.
yeah. Or I thought, like, yeah, it was like I was like, oh god, like what is gonna happen? Like, people are like, oh, Vecna's the villain of the season. I think Jason was the real villain of the season because like if Jason was out of the picture, they would have won the day.
Mm.
Because
Well,
Lucas
no, I don't
wasn't
think
able
so.
to.
I think even with Jason messing up the plan, I don't think Max like Max would have been maybe fine or something.
No, because then
But either way, like Vecna was gonna know about what they were trying to do. Like either
well,
way, I
not
feel like they were
really.
set
I
up to
think
lose.
well, no, because then if Jason didn't come into the Krill house, and then Lucas was able to put the headphones on, then it would have been like, okay, like just keep them on, and like then Nancy and then would have been able to kill Vecna. And so like, then Vecna would be at least possibly dead. Right now, at least, he's injured, severely injured right now. So
Yeah, which was funny too because I was laughing I was like silly on the TV, like Nancy, shoot him in the goddamn head. Like stop doing the body shots, aim for the head and blow his head off.
right,
But of course we have to have a final season, so of course you can't do that. But I thought that was funny.
yeah. I
It's like
mean,
you're
like
shooting
the
at
thing
point
is,
blank range, just aim for the head.
yeah. And then of course we had Dustin and Eddie, who were planning to be the other distraction, to the demo bats, which which we see Steve had an altercation with them previously, and then the Duff brothers were like, "Oh yeah, demo bats can't like one or like the bites can't kill you, unless of course now we know that unless it's like repeated bites because you're losing blood, or just so
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's death, again, as you mentioned, valiantly sacrificing himself to lead the bats away. I mean, the Master of Puppets thing was great too, and him like running
yeah,
on the biking away and like sitting up to that army of bats just to give them enough time, right?
right,
It was a valiant effort, right? And I know some people are arguing that he kind of died for nothing, but in his mind, he didn't really die for nothing, right? Like he got to
no,
die the hero he always wanted to be, in a
right,
sense, right?
yeah,
So I thought that was impactful, and I thought that was a really well
yeah,
acted and very emotional scene.
yeah, and then which it on happy sad confused, the Duff brothers went on there and they talked about Eddie's death, and they're like, it will have huge repercussions on season 5, and they want, because as we see with Barb's death in season 1,
Mm.
it lasted until season 2. Like her death lingered.
Right, because Nancy never really got over it, and
Right,
they didn't forget that Barb died. They're like, okay, we need to
and
find some resolution for this, especially for the parents.
right,
Although, well, we'll get to it. Well, yeah, we can get into that too. I mean, like I said, they kind of win the day, but then Max, my God, poor Max. I mean, we got to get into that too. I mean, like her body contorting and like she died. She did die. Vecna did kill her. He just didn't do the whole eye sunk thing and like the neck break and all that.
Right, and
so she died. Right,
brain
it's just
dead.
that
She's brain dead. She's crushed bones. She's blind, but she's fine. But she's fine, you know. Because 11 is keeping her alive.
Not really, though. I mean, 11 just restarted her heart. She was still clinically dead for like a minute.
Yeah.
Right, which is why she's in a coma 2 days later. She's still in a coma, and like Matt and 11 goes into her mind, still can't find her.
Right, which honestly, I think the reintroduction of Lucas or the whole group, or just Lucas in general, I think will be a scene of either Max waking up from her coma or like
there's also the possibility that Max doesn't have her memories anymore either. Like she's not gonna remember a lot of stuff when she wakes up. And there's also the question of, okay, is she gonna be permanently blind? Is she gonna be permanently disabled? Like, can she even use her arms and legs again? I mean, I would assume that she
can use her arms and legs again, but not right after she wakes up, of course.
No, of course not, but it's going to be like, well, we don't know how big the time jump is either in the next season. Like, she could be on the hospital bed for like 5 years and be fine. You know, it could be like she's in a coma for 5 years. We don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that whole thing was just very emotional. I mean, the stuff with Eddie and Max really like was the biggest tear jerkers, of course. I thought that stuff was really well handled. And kind of just transitioning into the biggest question as we talk about what's next for the show. I mean, like, Vecna kind of won, but not really.
He won in the fact
he got the earthquake, but it wasn't as like the damage wasn't nearly as bad as he was initially trying to cause. But Hawkins still gets pretty messed up. I mean, like, Jason dies, Jason gets like torn in half. The library, like everything just gets
destroyed. Like, and like. But at the same time,
hundreds of people are probably missing or dead. People are evacuating Hawkins. It's like a war zone out there.
Also, like, you know, as we transition from the first earthquake, the big earthquake that, like, you know, like you said, Jason dies a painful, good death. Like, good job.
Yeah, they didn't really emphasize it much, though. It's kind of like if you blink it, you'll miss it, right? They don't really make it like a big deal where it's like he says one last line, like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you, Sinclair," and then he falls down and dies. So I'm just like very casual death, but I kind of like that, you know, it's unceremonious and realistic.
Yeah, and then, you know, like that's like kind of like the first thing we see is the Creel house breaking, you know, and in the Upside Down and in our world, and then we look up and then it's like it's all these earthquakes that are like coming from all the points, you know, the lake, you know, from where Dustin is, from where you know, it's from all like these points that people were killed. And I mean, of course it was gonna be the Creel house because that's where Max died. So, and also that's where the origin of Vecna is. So it was like that was always going to be the point A. But one thing, you know, that and we didn't even talk about the Hopper and Enzo and
the Hopper stuff. I mean, the Hopper stuff was interesting and cool. I mean, he got his Ronin sword. I mean, but the problem with the Russia stuff is that there's still not some resolution for certain characters. Like, what happened to Yuri? What happened to Enzo?
Yeah,
right? Like, where's Murray?
The thing is, though, it's like Murray and them kind of helped because of the burning of the part of the Mind Flayer, you know.
Yeah, they played a part in it too because they were kind of like they killed the Demodogs, which were connected to the Hive Mind, which kind of helped weaken Vecna a little bit, of course.
In that scene for Robin and Nancy to, you know, shoot and throw the
Molotovs,
So, But yeah, like, and then but at the same time, so we have the earthquakes and the splitting of Hawkins, and then when Argyle, Jonathan, Mike, Will, and 11 go back, they see all these people leaving Hawkins as they're entering Hawkins, and they're like, and they see like, and then we get a bird's eye view, and it's like smoke everywhere, and it's like and so then they go to Hopper's cabin.
Yeah, everyone kind of reunites. It's that big. Everyone reunites. Hopper gets back with 11 again, finally.
And then you have the scene with Mike and Will where they're sitting down.
And Will can still feel that Vecna's presence is there. Like he's still alive.
And
he did not die. And he's gonna come back.
That's when they go outside. Well, no, they see a car. They see a car and they go outside, and it's Hopper and
Joyce, yeah.
And Joyce, but then when everyone's outside, Will feels something. He looks up, and it
starts snowing.
Down dash.
Yeah, the ash. Yeah, the ash and the upside down, like kind of like the snow, and then the storms start forming, and like the those I don't know what you describe, like the earthquake faults are like glowing orange and stuff. It's a great final visual to end the season on. It's a great like little cliffhanger. It's like, what do we do now? Like things have just gotten serious.
Yeah, right? And then you have, of course, 11 looking down, picking up like a rotten plant that's been rotten by the upside down now.
Yeah, it's part of the lands being destroyed now. It's a great visual to end the season on.
Yeah.
So I have an article here, kind of like bringing up a couple things some big questions still left hanging, and then we can kind of wrap this up. Just a quick little stream. So, the 5 burning questions we have after season 4, part 1. Obviously, the biggest one: what the heck's going on with Max? Is she ever gonna wake up? What do you think, Aiden?
Yeah, I think she's gonna wake up.
Will she be the same person though?
I don't think so. I don't think she'll be the same person. But I think she will wake up.
Because is she blind, or is this not just upside down eyes, like possession eyes on the upside down?
She's blind. Well, maybe they'll have it where she's blind. She can't see this world, but she can see the upside down.
Oh, that'd be very creepy.
So she's so yeah. But at the same time, I think, maybe her legs are broken, and they won't be able to be able to walk, so she might be in a wheelchair.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think she will wake up, but she's not gonna, as you mentioned, she won't be the same person. I think she's likely gonna lose some memories. Question number 2: where the heck is Vecna? So where did Vecna go?
In the upside down, mate. Like, there's, of course, as we see in season 3 and 4.
Well, my question is, did he cross over to our world? Is he just roaming around our world? Like,
I don't think so yet.
I think he will cross over, and the article mentions. I won't be shocked if he goes to kill his dad finally. He goes to kill Victor Creel. Like, finish the job. That's certainly a possibility. That'd be really interesting too.
But I think with
this is also a really stupid question. Is Vector just like bored? Or, like, he's dying? He got hurt. He needs time to recoup. But like, he's not gonna go out. Like, and he still won. He still technically killed Max. Like, he did what he wanted to do. He still killed her. That's kind of a dumb question.
As you see in season 2 and 3 with Billy, is that he is kind of the avatar for the Mind Flayer. Because the Mind Flayer can't just exist in that world.
So it needs an avatar. Yeah,
he needs an avatar. So I think the big repercussion of not just of Eddie's death is not just because the emotional stuff with Dustin, and and Lucas, but it's gonna be that Vecna is going to have the Mind Flare go inside of Eddie's body,
Really?
and
Oh, that'd be interesting, actually.
it'll be like in a total like like at the
WTF moment.
the mid season of next season will be that reveal.
That'd
It'll
be
be like
really interesting, yeah.
yeah.
So obviously Sullivan's gonna track down 11. How much longer does 11 have before the government gets in there? Because the
I
government
think
needs to go find the woods and go figure out where that cabin is. I mean, that cabin's probably not too hard to find.
Well, I also think what's going to happen, how are they going to contain Hawkins? Is the military going to have a dome around Hawkins now?
Oh, like in the Simpsons movie where they put a giant dome
Yeah,
around the city.
basically like that.
That'd be interesting. Like they kind of like can try and contain
Unknown
Hawkins so
Gamer,
no one can
he is
enter or
not
leave.
the Mind Flare. Vecna is not the Mind Flare. Mind Flare, like they say in the show, the Mind Flare is and they show it as well, is the Mind Flare is controlled by Vecna, but Vecna is not the Mind Flare.
Well, they're two separate beings.
Yeah.
My interpretation of that scene, because we forgot to mention that too, Vecna reveals that when he entered that dimension, there was the Demogorgons and the Demodogs running because they are like the natural creatures who live in that dimension. But there's also that Mind Flare energy, right?
Right.
That energy that he could bend. And basically, my interpretation of that scene was that whatever that energy was, he gave it life. And he turned it into the Mind Flare. He created it in the image of a spider. So he created the monster, and he gained control over that dimension.
Right.
So he is the leader. He is the main baddie. Like the Mind Flare is his servant. Really, he controls it.
Yeah. So he's gonna need someone or someone's to be the avatar of the Mind Flare.
This question will be interesting too. Like, will the Hawkins residents
continue
to blame everything on Eddie?
Well, I don't think. I think some Hawkins residents will, but I think the ones that there will be, some that will be like, it was an earthquake, earthquakes happen. But yeah, he controls it. That's what he said, but he's not the Mind Flare. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool to see Eddie come back. We'll see. This one's interesting because the Duffer Brothers dicking from that will be a major focus in the final season. So the question is, can Will ever find peace or a love interest?
They would visit day one and with Will, and I think.
I mean, it makes sense. The show started with Will going missing.
Yeah.
Will was the big focus of the first season. It makes sense to end the season with him being a big focus again. So, kind of like a big debate going around too is the whole Will thing. Like, is he gay? Is he not gay? Like, what's going on with them? I mean, that seems like a final season kind of focus. Maybe we kind of get more insight on him as a character. There's definitely something going on with Will from like a social development thing, Yeah,
I think it's a bit both. Where he is, probably gay, but he's also socially stunted, socially and emotionally stunted. Where he's like, I don't know how to not be this kid who was missing,
Right. I mean, he's just got a lot. He's just got a lot going on, my hope is that my biggest critique of season 4 is I felt like Will, Jonathan, and Mike kind of had not as much to do as I would have liked. Although, to be honest, those three characters feel like the most stunted out of all the characters this far. I feel like they're like the least interesting right now. But I'm hoping the final season can rectify that a bit, That's my hope, at least. We'll see.
All right.
And then, of course, last question. When will we be free of the love triangle with Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan? I don't know. It feels like a thread we're going to go into the final season too,
Yeah, I don't know, because it seems like at the
I
finale when
honestly would be
Logan,
fine if like we just drop that whole thing sooner rather than later. Because I'm just like, just let Nancy and Jonathan be together and give Steve somebody else. You know?
yeah, that's a but I like the scene where it's Robin and oh, what's her name?
Oh, Vicky.
Vicky are talking, and then you see, and then we go to Steve, and he's like
It's just
folding
like,
clothes and he's smiling.
yeah,
It's
it's
like
just
that
like
proud mom.
he's also shaking his head like, God damn it, really? This actually
Yeah, like
happened?
it's like that proud mom who's like seeing her children grow, you know. Yeah. But
Yeah.
like, and then we learn about Steve is that he wants to have kids and he wants to travel, you know.
Yeah, he kind of wants to like live a normal life in a sense too,
Yeah,
where he's also like he's trying to like you know, he wants to find normalcy, but he's also like he wants to be able to like be something more too, like to be
yeah,
someone others can depend on.
yeah.
Kind of.
Because,
That's what I
yeah, and
noticed.
like in that scene, he like looks back at at when he's talking to Nancy about this, he looks back at Lucas, looks back at Max and Robin and all of them. He like, and that like he is like, this is like what I want, you know, like this type of stuff, this familiar energy. So that would be really cool. That that's you know
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, when do you well, last question I'll ask before we wrap things up. When do you think season 5 will come out?
Like around this time in 2024.
So you're thinking summer 2024?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm kind of anticipating the same thing. I know a lot of people want it to be next year. I just don't see that happening whatsoever.
I, yeah.
I just don't think it's possible.
Especially if they're starting to write
Actually,
more
write it
of,
right now.
if they're gonna, yeah, like if, like, you know, I think the Deaf Brothers said that they have at least like the
They
first
have the
two episodes.
outline. They have the outline, but
They
they
have
haven't
the
like
outline
actually
of like point A and
wrote
point
down the
D.
scripts. Yeah.
Yeah, they have the outline of point A to D, but they need to figure out what B and C are, what point B and C are, and to put those together and write it out. And, you know, because they know the last 30 minutes, they know the first 30 minutes, but they need to know what the
Right.
heck are going to be between those, that extra 10 hours going to be, you know, whatever, 8 hours, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Because
Makes
they
a
did
lot
say
of
that
sense.
this next season won't be, how long was the season?
This was 13 hours, I believe.
Yeah, so they're saying like this is going to be like less than 13.
They said it was going to be around at least like 10 hours. So about
Yeah.
like either 10-hour long episodes or like 8 episodes,
They-
but like one of them's
yeah,
like 2 hours or
because
something.
they do know that they want the finale to be like around the same runtime as this finale.
Shit, I would say make it longer. Make it like a 3-hour finale.
Um,
Go full Lord of the Rings on
but
this.
yeah, but they don't know if they want it to be an epilogue where it's like even further down. You know, it's like where it's like the time skip for this season, and then the finale is another time skip. You know, and where, you know, and so, and then like the episode before that is the true finale, and then the finale of that season is going to be an epilogue. They don't know exactly what that's going to be, but they're figuring that out, you know. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it should be interesting for sure. But
Yeah.
yeah, what would you give the season in terms of like a rating, like out of 10?
A good 9.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. I'd get like
Yeah.
8.5. I think I'm gonna give
Yeah,
this a
like an
9.
8.5 to 9.
8.5 to a 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, this is the best season since the first one, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I think this is the strongest the show's ever been. Like, I really loved this season, honestly.
Right.
And I think it made the entire show stronger in retrospect, too. You know,
It
so
It did.
yeah,
It definitely did.
absolutely. Well, I think it's going to wrap it up for us. Caden, you got any final thoughts or anything you want to promote before we get out of here?
No. Yeah.
All right.
It's all good over here.
All right. Well, MME Live will be tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure you tune in for that. Also, this weekend I will be covering Thor: Love and Thunder per Marvel Mania. We'll probably do a Marvel Mania spoiler cast on Thor sometime this weekend, maybe Saturday night. I'll keep you guys updated on that. Thank you guys so much for watching our spoiler review and discussion of Stranger Things 4 Volume 2. Real quick, read some last minute comments from Lewis Berry. Sadie, Millie, Jamie, Joseph, and Gadden deserve Emmy noms. Best season yet. 10 out of 10. The piggyback is the best episode. That and Dear Billy. I have to agree. I think Dear Billy's still the strongest episode, but the piggyback, the actual finale, was also very strong. So thank you for coming in, Lewis Berry, and leaving your thoughts here. So again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching our Stranger Things 4 spoiler review and discussion. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Letting us what you think of Stranger Things 4, the final 2 episodes, and the season as a whole, and where you think the show could be going for its 5th and final season. So, Caden, thank you very much for joining me, and we out of here. Bye, everybody.